Well, I hope everybody's Mother's Day went well if you're a mother out there. And also, if you're a child or an adult child with a mother out there, even if that mother might be slightly toxic or not. Um, I know mine went all right. Um, Although I had to spend it out at my parents' again because my kids are there yet, and it kind of poses as a little bit more difficult. Although, as I sit here this morning and listen to a lot of videos like Angie Atkinson and how to make a narcissist be nice to you and a lot of different tactics. When the whole family gets together on holidays and special occasions such as this, like my older brother showed up yesterday, and my son has just been complaining about how my brother has been treating him, and basically gaslighting my son and just making my son into a scapegoat, like blaming him for all my brother's own undealt issues within himself. And of course, I just kind of explained to my son what he was doing because I do sit here at least every morning and listen to all these tapes about how to deal with these kinds of people, especially because the struggle is so paramount within my own family system and that I still have to deal with it. A lot of times in our lives, we can't just, like when all these tapes say no contact, no contact, and a lot of situations, we are left dealing with narcissistic types or toxic types of people. Just throughout our everyday lives, either at work or wherever, that we get stuck having to deal with these people, and there isn't really any way around it. Especially, I know that, like with the family situation or whatever, it can be easy to just say what you need to say to them and then go back home and away from them. But when you're at work, it's a little different, but still, just to try to keep the peace in all those situations. And even if they butt in and start asking you questions and try to start harassing you or get under your skin and get your goat or whatever, on any little thing that they can dig in at, whether it's problems with any areas of your lives that they might seem to laugh at and think is funny, or whatever they can do just to rile you up and gain that energy, because they're vampirically pulling that energy, draining that energy away from you, and then in the end you're left to feel bad, and even though you might not know what happened, at least you can start seeing it as it really is and what they're really doing, like I myself am learning how to do. But basically with my son, my son started complaining about him, and we were talking about what a big bully he was, and I just started teaching him about narcissism. I'm like, and like at first when I started talking to them about it, they didn't want to have anything to do with to hear me speak about narcissism, period, or toxic people. But I knew that that being in that home that they're in, they are going to see it and they are going to have to deal with it themselves. And that's another part of the reason why I'm so intensely learning about it, because when it came to the situation with my brother fighting with my son and making my son feel bad for doing nothing wrong, just putting all his crap onto him. I could explain it to my son in a way that he did not have to feel bad anymore. And I basically told him, I said, what your uncle did, it's not your fault. And basically, I explained to him, you know, what he was doing to him. So, it gave him a better understanding because so often children, um, they can take it all on themselves, like they can blame it all on themselves, and it's really heavy for a child to bear that. And I just want to pull them up in any way that I can so they don't have to be in that low state of consciousness and feel like it's their fault. It's just so important. Um, and for ourselves too, just to stand up for ourselves, like, you know, um, my narcissistic father, he will try to pit us all against each other sometimes in a way, like even when I start talking to them about because I did hang out with my parents for a short time and talk to them while my daughter was preparing us a beautiful steak lunch yesterday for Mother's Day. And I did have to sit in there and talk to them for a while. And so I try to make it as light as I can, but one of my problems is that having a narcissistic family, they want to know everything. They want to draw everything that you know, like a vampire, like out of your mind and stuff. And so it's easy for me just to blurp it all, like what's happening in my life and how I feel about and my troubles and everything, because that's what they taught us to do. Very strongly, me and my two brothers as well. And my brother was sitting in there yesterday too, and just he was doing some odd jobs for my father, and my father was paying him for it. And my brother just seemed more like the henchman or whatever, just doing whatever my father his bidding, so he could stay in that golden child state of good. And but he has also become a narcissist himself. And then they could turn it on me because when I started working as an Amish taxi, they all got in on it, and so now it's like a all community, a little narcissist community group in there that started talking about work. And when they asked me about how much I was charging and all this stuff, and they were talking about taking advantage of some of their jobs and just taking advantage of some of the customers to make more money by in different ways. And I know that along the last couple of years, I've learned how important the truth is, and how important it is not to cheat people, and just to sit there and listen to that. I kind of stood up for that belief, and then I was kind of mocked, and they were asking me my prices and what I charged. But I just honestly told them, and if I could be anything to these types of people, it could be maybe even a better role model for them. Instead of trying to change them and say that they're wrong and stuff, I basically just told them what was what, and not that they shouldn't do that or anything, because that just causes their breakage of their ego, and then they become more rageful and just more attacking on a person as well. So but anyways, that was basically, I didn't stay in there for very long because it was all just kind of like another family vampiric attack. And I got up and I kept enjoying my Mother's Day. There was a little fight between my daughter and I, but that's only because she has that ankle bracelet on from being in trouble. And she chose to live there with them during this. And I just try to be there as often as I can for my children because I have no choice. Sometimes we don't have a choice, and we are left dealing with family systems and maybe job systems and things for a while until we can maybe something better might be attracted and manifested in our lives as we learn and understand and grow. I know that she was kind of crying, and that she had to be there, and because I know that she didn't want to. My family can, I remember growing up there, that my family can ignore emotionally and just physically too, and just stay about their own business there. And I just try to, I just try to be there as much as possible, like a person can, and try to teach them basic values and even further teach them how to heal inside from maybe negative belief systems that they are patterned with too. And so I just wanted to kind of give a little gist on Mother's Day and how that really went in my own case when you still are some people are still left having to deal with narcissistic families during that time. So that's my little gist on that. And thank you for listening. If you decide to watch this today, I hope you had a beautiful one. Thank you. Later.